Here's a convenient way to transform what you know or what you can easily gather into $10,000, $20,000 in new income. I'm Justin Hitt with Ad Briefing's Copywriting Tips. There's something I've been doing for a while, at least 20 years, that I got from, I think it was a Bob Bly book or the back of a Gary Halbert. But basically, I'm writing commissioned research studies or reports. Now, it doesn't sound as boring as you might think. So, for example, I'm finishing off a commissioned research study on how to profit from inflation. You see, wealthy decision makers and people who own businesses, they don't want to spend a lot of time searching the internet to find answers or get current information about the problems that they face. So let's say you're in a business and you're buying materials and you've got a little bit of wealth, maybe $3 to $4 million in net worth, and you are concerned that inflation is coming and you want to know, what do I need to do to hedge my bets? What are the strategic approaches I need to take? Now, you could do what I've described in other programs about research, go buy 5 books, read the books, look at the commonalities, and put them together in kind of a summary action plan. And it's great. It takes about a week, maybe 2 weeks to do. But think about it. If you're making $10,000 an hour, $1,000 an hour, because you own a big company or you run an organization or you're going to write a book, maybe you're a famous author and you're going to write a book, you can actually hire out your research. Now, I say about $10,000 to $20,000 for this activity because you're not quite a ghostwriter, but you are gathering and organizing information. Now, it does require a small amount of technical skills because I have written reports that are of legal nature. So there was a lawsuit and they were going to sue, but they wanted to kind of get all the background case study. And they also want to get some of the implications in the marketplace and then have somebody gather the facts. And now this is not just simple research, and then develop an approach. Now, I happened to get that project because it had to do with a dog barking case and case law around it. And I just happened, they found me because I happened to be talking about how to handle barking dogs. So I had this little niche site that was basically, it talked about dog psychology and stuff like that. And it talked about how to handle other people's dogs and some of the legal implications and how it impacts property values. And someone reached out and said, hey, Justin, I noticed you wrote some information about that. Would you be interested in, I notice you're a copywriter, would you be interested in doing some research and give us kind of not only a research of the facts about dog behavior and how to modify their behavior, but also some of the research about what products are available in the marketplace. And then, they gave me some resources about some humane approaches and kind of where their client was coming from. I wrote them a report, maybe 65 pages. And because I'd already have that information together, I think I charged them $5,000. Now, it wasn't around $5,000. You have the initial consultation, you talk about their needs, you get an idea of their program, and then depending on their turnaround, you agree on what you can deliver, and then I create a custom report. Now, in that case, I had spent 2 years dealing with a neighbor's barking dog. So when they asked about describe the emotional profiles, because their intent was to sell a dog product, a bark control product, and they were solving a legal case, and then there were some other things. You can't go into details, but the gist of it is these commissioned reports and studies are very specialized, and they are specific to an audience, and the way they showed up on my plate is because I was writing articles already about the topic, and the person who read the article liked my approach. So this inflation report is actually a subscriber of one of my newsletters, and they said basically, I want to know how to profit during inflation. So I interview them, and part of this is I'm actually looking and researching the interviews of people in 12 different countries that faced hyperinflation. And then based on all this information, I summarize it down into an action plan. Now, the way this works is I'll commission these reports for small groups. So it could be one individual, but even better, it could be 5 individuals. And so I'm about to advertise on my Sustainable Wealth Secrets newsletter. So the person who's paying me to do this report knows that, hey, you're going to pay me to do this report. And then I'm going to go find a few other people to pay me to do this report so we get the most diverse view of this. And then we can then answer all the questions combined, which includes questions you may not thought to answer or to ask. And then you're going to get a more complete product. But instead of paying $50,000 for me to take the next 3 weeks to focus on it, you're going to pay a fraction of that. And all the risk is on me because I'll find the other people to fill in the blanks. And you see how this works. Now, there's an embargo of 3 to 5 years. In this case, it's a 3-year embargo. And that means within the next 3 years, I cannot share the report in whole to anybody. So these, in best case, there'll be 5 to 10 people who each put up $5,000 to $10,000. And I go out and focus every ounce of my activity. I hire researchers. I manage the editorial process. I go out and find primary sources to interview, actually call people on the phone and interview them. I go into detail about current news events and timelines, and I compile all of that in Scrivener. I use Scrivener to organize this stuff. I compile it all in Scrivener to write a report that looks pretty much like a big book. One of these reports I did was 500 pages. Now I got to go back and make sure it wasn't 500 pages when it started. I got to go back and make sure I take everything the researchers provided and I create an action plan. Now later, I was able to, because there was a 10-year embargo on that particular document, I was able to then to chop out excerpts from the main document and use it as a newsletter series for a couple years. And I think that embargo is done. I could sell the entire report, but I don't have to sell the original report. I can sell the compiled newsletter series, because when we talk about rights, and that's one thing that you won't find a lot of copywriters talking about, because you do want to sit down with your lawyer to make sure you have your rights correct. But when it comes to rights, the party who hires you for the custom research or the study, they're going to own the rights to that end result, and you're also going to own those rights. Nobody in that group can sell the rights or to republish the materials until after the 3 to 5 year period. Now, for some companies, they want a 10-year period. Some companies, they want forever. It all depends. Some companies, the strategic report is about something that's very sensitive, and they're never going to publish it. They basically don't want you to publish it, and they never want it published. That's fine. I did one on money laundering and how to detect money laundering. And ultimately, that one will never be published, ever, because the customer is building up proprietary systems that they're then selling. And that's fine. I don't get a royalty from that. I only get the revenue from the report itself. And that's why there's the syndication element, where if one client won't pay enough to cover your time, effort, resources, and the people you'll hire to help you, then you can say, well, can I syndicate this opportunity? Meaning, can we bring on additional investors? Can we bring on additional individuals? Now, I've written quite a few of these reports, but the majority of them I've written for my own company. So let me explain how this works. If you're going to specialize in a particular copywriting area, you can write a compendium or a all-encompassing compilation of your experiences in that industry. So it could be copy samples, it could be narratives, it could be customer avatars, and you're compiling all that into one binder, and then you can sell, you own it, and you can sell that to the marketplace. And then when a client says, hey, you did an excellent report on affluent customers, and I'm interested. I like what you have to say about the reason to go after affluent customers, and I understand you have this report. I'd like to buy a copy of it. And you can explain to them, hey, what we do is we customize this report for your needs, because the report's generic for my needs. I want to make sure it serves your needs, so you add a consultation. The consultation comes in, you get their feedback, you revise your report, and now they've just bought the information that you've created. Now, they may embargo it. They may buy it and just, the rights stay the way they were. Rights management is a whole topic upon itself. But can you see how that you can write something once and use it many times? If you write a report for yourself, some of these reports I've written for myself, I just reference them to create articles that I use in my content plan for that particular website. In other cases, I did a project for a client years ago, and I kept all the materials, and in our contract it said, hey, after 5 years, this mutual ownership of this material dissolves. And so you got 5 years to do something with these materials. The rights revert to me after 5 years, and I can do whatever the hell I want with it. And now you have to agree with the customer, how much are they going to pay for that? Because sometimes you're going to do a project for somebody and they're going to say, hey, please don't write for my competitors. Now, to put food on your table, you need to write for their competitors. But you can at that point then negotiate rights and terms. Hey, it's my understanding you want an exclusive on this. I don't do exclusives, but we do mutual exclusives where I'll embargo the materials for a period of time, and I won't write on the topic specifically to what we've talked about in this scope of work, but you got all the rights. You can do whatever you want to do. Now, a lot of times you can tie royalties to that. I have failed to tie royalties to some of that because I haven't written the sales letter. I wrote all the inputs to the sales letter and compiled all the marketplace sales letters into one binder. Most of these are 3-ring binders. And they can go use it for the next 3 to 5 years exclusively. And I would only excerpt from it. I don't write that in the contract, but it's kind of a given that you could still excerpt from it because it's in your brain as well. But let's summarize real quick. There's an opportunity here to make $10,000 to $20,000 per client engagement. And once you've written one of these documents, maybe you've got a giant pile of swipe on your desk for a specific industry, and you write a summary to that giant pile of swipe. You could actually pitch to people in that industry a custom research report about the trends and activities of marketing in that industry. Make it available for $5,000. Tell them you're going to sell 5 copies only to the first 5 people that get involved. And each of the 5 people are going to get an interview where you interview them about their unique needs and challenges in that marketplace, which you will also include in the report. And then at the end, all 5 people are going to get together and hear a webinar or a 90-minute presentation where you summarize the report, and as a result of attending the program, they're going to get this giant binder. Okay, and the binder's organized. It's just not a pile of crap. It might be, research about the marketplace. A lot of times it's like a business plan. So you're going to do all the research, and you're going to get all the primary sources and put them together. And then you're going to get examples and put them together. And then you're going to get other details. They're going to take it, build a business plan. They're going to build a marketing plan. They're going to take the product research and address. I think I did one document that was just a list of requirements. What are people saying on Amazon about this topic? Like what, and write it in a user format, like a requirements format. If somebody makes a comment, they gave a low rating to this category of product, and they said, well, I really wish it did X. I would write down such and such, really wish it would do X, and then I'd kind of build some context around it. What does that mean? And that's a lot of reading on your part. It's a lot of research on your part. But if you've got the editorial calendar and the editorial team set up like we've described in previous podcasts, you're going to be able to go out and basically say, okay, well, one person wants this report. I'm going to go everybody complimentary in the marketplace. So the affluent customer one is an example. Let's say you have a lawyer seeking affluent customers for estate planning. Well, who else wants affluent customers in a general topic? Well, it'll be accountants. So who else? Financial planners. And so you talk to the client, first client, you say, hey, look, it's going to be $30,000 to produce this report. You get all their requirements. It's going to be $30,000. They're going to say, whoa, that's way too much. Okay, well, here's the concept. If you can give me the names of non-competing partners who would also be interested in investing this, we can split the cost between you. And they might say, well, I don't have that. Or they give you 3 people. And then you can explain to them, okay, this report's very valuable. We've already established that. Here are the things that you want to cover in this report. This report you're going to be using for the life of your business. Is it okay if I mention it to my mailing list? And perhaps we can get 2 or 3 partners, no more than 5, who will all help this report be even more valuable by sharing their experiences and asking their questions. And you're going to get the result of this larger specialist group and the key things you're looking for. So in fact, you'll answer questions you never knew to ask. 9 times out of 10, they're like, great, let's do it. That 1 time out of 10, they're going to say, well, let's scope back the project. I just want an outline of what's out there. But either way, as the copywriter, you win. And it's the type of work that you're already doing. So in fact, if you've got a good record keeping system and you've got a good way of storing ideas and concepts and swipe files and managing the back end of your copywriting, marketing, or business development business, you're going to be able to pull off the shelf a binder, sit down with a client, tailor it to their needs, and have as an end result maybe a 50-page report. I like to use the narrative report format because I'm looking at the recycle value. And then many of my clients, they are doing marketing campaigns. So they want a description of Sally's home life and what she experiences every day and why it's so important that she solves this big problem if only she knew the right product or service. And then the next page is about the character, bullet points, characteristics of what this avatar is looking for and what some of the language is, and cut and paste it out of web forums. Some of these reports can take weeks. Some of them you can finish in like an hour or two to at least get a draft to the client. Now, after you've gotten their requirements, you've gotten the agreement, you might even do some syndication, you start an outline for the report. Okay, so the rest of this process is kind of like ghostwriting. You got an outline for the report, you agree upon an outline, and then you go in and fill in the blanks. In some cases, I'll have a massive list of questions that either I compiled from the marketplace or I got through an interview with the principal client. And again, if you've got 5 principals, because they're sharing the costs, you now have 5 sets of questions, and so you got a more comprehensive view. I put those questions into an outline that's kind of a little meatier, so I'll group the questions together and start putting titles like I'm writing a book. I get that back in front of the clients. They give feedback. And meanwhile, we're filling in the back end with research. And then what we end up with is kind of a manuscript version. I don't know if any of you guys have asked for manuscripts from me, but I'll send you manuscripts. Those are strategic studies or research papers that I put together for clients that I now have the rights to distribute. And so it's not a pretty book. It is a manuscript. It is a reference document that many of my clients, I take care of this on my side. I actually have them printed out in the 3-ring binders. I put a fancy cover on them, and I deliver, if they want 20 copies. They pay extra for the copies, but I'll deliver the copies, and they'll reference them. Now, today, some people want digital documents. It's just really up to your client. You do custom this package. But can you see how some research you've already done? I see it on my shelf right here. I have a whole binder on now they started with a binder of objections, but I had all their objections for selling online advertising, and I provided a supplement that included that script dialogue. So can you see how this is like an extra income stream to your copywriting business that actually uses the knowledge and expertise you already have about a particular marketplace, a particular problem that your clients face, or a outcome that they're looking to reach? My inflation report is about an outcome of maintaining wealth despite inflation. I boil it down into the big idea. I boil it down into the key points they need to have answered. I look for the things that they didn't ask that they need to know. I go out and do the research from primary sources, and then I deliver to them a report. At times, the delivering of the report, we're done. Other times they want a revision, and here's the exciting part for the copywriter. I want to leave you with this because this is really going to keep you awake at night. Sometimes I deliver the study, 85 pages. It needs to be as short as it needs to be and as long as it needs to be. 85 pages, they're satisfied, and they say, you know what, there's this one little hook I see in here. Can you write me a lead generation piece on that? So this is the type of activity where you can get $10,000 to $20,000 up front, yet it leads to writing lead generation, writing sales letters, writing space advertisement, writing whole campaigns. And in a few cases, I've even taken my special report that I wrote for them, and I always frame it as a special report because I want to put that idea in their mind that this could be a book that we co-author. This could be a report that you make available on your website as part of your lead generation package. Very often they will say, either their internal writers will do it or I'll do it. They'll say, great, this section of research, turn it into a special report, and here's the offer we want to put at the end of it. Can you see how valuable this is to the client? Because you might be saying $10,000 to do a research paper? I did research papers in college all day long and got paid nothing. Well, the difference is that when I was in college, I wrote research papers for other people and got paid $100, $200, $300. You know, they don't pay much for an actual APA formatted research paper. And then when I was in college in my 40s, I paid doctoral students to write my research papers, which I would then put my final draft on and then turn in. It's not an unusual thing that's happening. It's just something that a lot of copywriters, marketers, and business development professionals don't think of doing. Now, as a business development consultant, I've also done with a small team. Usually the client has a few people on this team. I have done economic studies. So I'm not an economist, but I can do the marketing language. I can understand the opportunity and how to approach a marketplace. I can run all the numbers, like which lists they should be sending to and which lists are related to the people they're trying to reach, blah, blah, blah. Again, all skills you have as a copywriter. If you'd like to learn more about how this type of opportunity can be implemented in your business, I very often partner with other writers on these projects. Now, I split the revenue I'm getting, but again, sometimes the client has a week deadline. You know, they want it in a week. They want it in 7 days, and they'll pay premium dollars for that. You may have an activity where I'm an expert, a subject matter expert, where I can help you fill in the blanks for this type of report. The key is it sells just like a sales letter, except you have to help the client understand how valuable it would be to have all their primary research in one place rather than their internal people dicking around on the internet and searching for stuff and, you know, finding information that's fake news. You really have to sell the value that you will help them create an authoritative source that unlocks the opportunity that they're looking for. I think I'll leave you with that. But if you raise your hand and you have a question, you visit www.adbriefings.co.uk. This is something I'm willing to partner on and joint venture on. It is something I'm willing to do a webinar on because it's been such a valuable service to my clients, my private clients. And then when you add the syndication, you can really multiply the amount of capital you get. It will make you a subject matter expert in specific areas. So you do want to start niching this. You know, you don't want to do dog barking, inflation and legal aspect. You know, it's got to be themed. Otherwise, it's going to be harder to find clients. But I can teach you how all these steps work, even help you set up an opportunity that can be mutually valuable. But again, it starts by asking your questions. I'm Justin Hitt with Ad Briefings Copywriting Tips, helping you transform words that sell into a business, into a agency that serves you through the transformation of relationships into profits. Oh, mouthful. I'm going to go eat some lunch. Thanks for listening.